Well, Jim, picking up from there, and I remind you, it is indeed my show. And before we get to the review of the big AEW, I was about to say Rampage, but AEW Revolution pay-per-view extravaganza, news broke over the last couple days that the WWE will be inducting Vader into their Hall of Fame this year. And obviously, everyone wants to know your thoughts, you being the manager of Vader in the World Wrestling Federation. So what do you think?
Well, the short version is I'm for it. Before anybody starts thinking that I'm going to knock this and no, he shouldn't be in. No, I'm absolutely for it. But I, again, have questions. They knew, what was it, 2 years ago, that he was, if not terminally ill, that he was very ill, that he'd said he didn't have long with his heart problems, whatever. They couldn't have done it then. They couldn't have switched something around. I don't remember who was in that class that year, but and then the pandemic came, but I'm glad they're finally getting around to it. And maybe this is a little, because it obviously meant a lot to Leon, especially the last couple of years of his life, because he was mentioning it and people on his behalf were trying to get, support for it. So it kind of makes up for the fact that when you think about it, the WWF run was the only place where Vader was not really the man. And for all the reasons we've talked about, and the clips are on YouTube, so I'm not going to go through it all here again, but, they just didn't, the thing with Michaels, they didn't understand Vader. Vince and he didn't get each other, I don't think, and he didn't fit in that environment, as I said, for the reasons we've talked about. That's why he didn't have the spectacular run there that he had everywhere else, WCW in Japan and Germany, all the other places. But this makes up for it a little bit, because this is the highest profile Hall of Fame. So the one promotion that he didn't completely dominate out of all the ones he ever wrestled in, this is the one that's putting him in a Hall of Fame. So maybe it makes up for it.
All right. Well, that's the news of Vader into the Hall of Fame. Will you be inducting him?
What are your thoughts?
Are you going to be inducting him?
No, I'm not going to be. No, number one, they didn't call me. What's the quote? If nominated, I would not run. If elected, I would not serve. It's not that I don't want to induct Vader into the Hall of Fame, but I'm not going to be leaving the house and traveling and messing up my good night's sleep. So, but no, we can shoot that one down. I appreciate everybody that said on Twitter and everything, oh, Cornette's got to do it. Well, no, not really. Again, when you think about it, there are people available. Mick Foley, who worked with him in both WCW and WWF. Yeah, and I'm sure that he would do a wonderful job. And it's the least he can do for the guy that tore his ear off. There's a few different people that could do it. So this would be another good one for Jim Ross. He was always a big fan of Leon's. So, I don't think that I'm just the natural choice. I worked with him for that period of time, but I was not intricately involved with him throughout a lot of his career.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of good choices. You can't get Antonio Inoki, and that wouldn't be who they would go with. His biggest WCW rival was Sting. You're not going to get Sting. His WCW manager was Harley Race. You're not going to get Harley Race. Sean's not doing it. I mean,
yeah, somebody on Twitter said, "Why not Shawn Michaels?" I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
Can you imagine?
Leon would probably come back from the grave. Ooh. Well, then that may narrow it down to Mick when you think about it.
Yeah.
We shall see.